I am Richard Mahapatra. I am the managing editor of Down to Earth magazine, published from India. It has been publishing since last 34 years. More than that, I have been a journalist with over 30 years of experience, and I report, research, and write. To be precise, my job is to communicate with thousands of people whom I don't know, and I communicate hour by hour. I'm also at the same time, as I told you, I have been here for more than 30 years. I am old fashioned. I am the way of thinking and writing. It's very old fashioned for me, as it is for people. It's always my thoughts, my words, and my processes. And for every story as a journalist, for every report that I do as a journalist, I write and research. I speak to real people in the field, in villages, in farm and forest. I speak to real people. I work hard with my research. I go to library. I refer to many research papers. I process and present them as a story that you read and also get informed. This is what basically communication is all about. But here we are. I'll be speaking about the most defining phase in our life, whether we are a journalist or a communicator or a scientist, whether we deal with environmental issues, science, or anything else, how it's transforming. You can call it the most transformative phase in communications. It's due to a technological advancement. And that also technology which is easily available to all of us. And I'll be talking about my experience and how it's being experienced by others or used by others. And the technology, as you all know, it's basically the advancement of artificial intelligence. And I will rather share my experiences about how this technology in the last few years and just 3 to 4 years, the evolution of AI has changed many things, already being spoken in terms of it's being very disruptive. So let me start. As someone, before I go into the deep, just talking about my own experience of dealing with uh, materials. In a very broad measurement, I can say that as a journalist, as a communicator, my work in a day, broadly, I at least speak to 5 people regarding my stories, regarding my research. I hear them out, long conversations, many probing questions, go through at least 10 to 15 research papers, all accessed, sometimes through procured from library, sometimes my own research through the research tool, search engines like using the Google from the internet, and process up to 50 pages worth of data just to write one story. And that may be the case with most of you who is into research, academic writing, or any communications jobs you are in, serious communication jobs. So why I'm talking about all these things is basically this is in context of evolution of artificial intelligence as a tool. We'll talk about that more, but I do all these things. And this is my scenario where I come from the last century. I crossed over to the 21st century. So now let me start. As I told you, I'm old-fashioned, but I also come from an age when we used to handwrite, then use a typewriter, go physically to libraries, sit for hours, speak to people, move around, then do your research and write. But somewhere in early 90s came what we know as the search engines. We are very used to this. Search engines, like the Archie, web crawler, Alta Vista, and finally, in 1998, Google came. What did it do? Arrival of the search engines. That was also very transformative. It precisely what it did is it gave me that easy access to research, to publish materials, and from across the world, not moving out. I could access all of them. So one way, it's basically the ease of getting everything from everywhere. So it did actually help in processing things very quickly for me. And that was the most transformative phase when the search engines came and the virtual world opened up. Now, come to the arrival of the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is not new. Actually, it's 20 years senior to me. I am more than 50 years old. Actually, in 1950, the artificial intelligence arrived. So then why are we talking about it now and so intimate and intense ways that we all have to speak about these things? And that's exactly what we are actually facing now, the situations. How come a more than, around a 70 years old uh, technological evolution is now disrupting and how we can use it or how can actually deploy the technology to help us in researching and communicating environmental issues and scientific issues. So let me first do some basic talks. You must be knowing all what this technology all about, this AI. But just for the sake of clarity and context setting, let me explain it. Artificial intelligence, as you know, is the technology that enables computers, machines to simulate human learning, comprehensions, problem solving, decision making, and creativity and autonomy. And remember this word autonomy. So any applications and devices, those are actually equipped with artificial intelligence tools can see and identify objects. They can understand and respond to human language. They can learn from new information and experience. They can make detailed recommendations to users and experts. This is, I'm putting you almost like a textbook definition of artificial intelligence. And to put it in context, they can do things independently. The need for human intelligence or without the need for human intelligence or interventions. A classic example, how far it has gone, is that self-driving car that is already being experimented and apparently it's doing well. So you can take it that as a milestone in this evolution of this technology, where this technology, this tool has become what you call the completely autonomy. But again, the real one we are talking about now is not just the general artificial or AI tool. Since 2023-24, What we have been talking about is that new form of artificial intelligence that's called basically the generative artificial intelligence, or in short, in popular terminology, it's called Gen AI. And what is this? It's basically a technology that can create original text, images, video, and other content. As you all know, it's already doing many things. So what we currently we are talking about is this form of artificial intelligence, or the Gen AI or generative AI. As the name suggests, it generates. Generate generative sorry generative AI, sometimes called Gen AI, also refers to deep learning models that can create complex original content. Say, for example, long form text, high quality images, realistic video. We all know about that. In fact, audio, and more in response. And all these things are in response to an user's prompt or request. You give a prompt and it creates or generates, whether in text form or visual form or anything. And on which technology is this based on? Fundamentally and primarily, all these tools are based on what we call the machine learning and the deep learning. Basically, machine learns and deep learns. Machines are basically learning, and these are the technologies. But what is this machine is all about? Machine learning and deep learning. It's basically this actually deploys or create a neural network, an artificial neural network, which is similar to human brain structure and functions. So one way, this tool, the technology itself, or you can say that humans have created a parallel or an artificial neural brain-like technology. Or you can say that we have outsourced our brains to work for us and without our intervention. And what does it do? It's basically, at high level, if you look at it, a generative AI can simplify, large number of data, large number of means huge information, can actually synthesize tons and tons of research in just few minutes. But now the next step, when you are talking about, we talked about the AI evolution, which is fairly old, has been with us. The current one that we are talking about is the next generation, that is generative AI, which we are basically in these sessions, we'll be talking about our experience with it and how we should use it or deploy it. But in this, there is a next level development. What you know is that this generative AI tools now transforming into very personalized, what you call your agents, artificial agents, or GAI, transform into agents as natural next step after generative AI. What are these agents? An AI agent is basically an autonomous AI program. It can perform tasks and accomplish goals on behalf of a user like you and me, or even another system without human intervention. And it design its own workflow, available tools, everything it brought in. Basically, it's the agent is your personal assistant, secretary, and it's going to do all the hard works. That's the potential of the agent, and that's basically how we are now getting it very personalized. Also, you can create your own agents to do your things. It's like a CEO of a company having a personal secretary will have an agent. Similarly, a scientist or a communicator having its own personal agent in this world of artificial intelligence to do much of the critical works, even without his or her interventions. And these agents are two types: agentic AI agents and agentic AI. And what are they? So, this term agents and agentic refer to these models' agency for their capacity to act independently and purposefully. In general, an AI agent still needs prompts, human interventions, and need this. Agentic agent or AI basically it's can independently of its own. It can do things. It can predict. You can say that it has the agency of a human, or you can say that it has the intelligence of a human being. So that's why coming back to it means after this plain talkings about understanding how these things happen, this is transformative. And we'll talk about how this transformative, what kind of transformations it can bring in the AI tool, and how we can actually deploy it also. So come to it, the first things why it is transformative is it actually your agents or the whole technology of artificial intelligence or the generative AI, it has this ability to generate text, images, and audiovisual content using deep learning models. And it's trained on vast data sets, generative AI, and even everything that's available. That's why it's transformative. And it actually touches now the society, the economy, the education, journalism, science, research, and medicines everywhere. That's why you get always this one saying that AI versus medicine, AI versus economic forecast, AI versus environmental communications, AI versus environmental research. So everything is prefixed with AI. That's why it's very transformative. It has that potential. It has that capacity already, demonstrated capacity to do that. Beyond these fields, its transformative power also extends to the very process of knowledge production and disseminations. That means the communications, between the research and communications. It shapes how information is created, shared, and also interpreted. That's where actually it's transformative, and that actually concerns to us also, what we are talking about in this session. First, how it is actually transforming. The first one is, as I said, that it's actually impacts creation, sharing, and interpretation of informations. So the first one, it's reshaping communication. And that's how actually we also get face to face with AI every day because it's communicating. People are using it for communicating, but it's reshaping communications. And how it's actually reshaping. First of all, advancement in artificial intelligence have reshaped the way we communicate and who we communicate with. While previous technologies, all the communication technologies sought the channels for human interactions, suppose I am speaking to you through a video platform. It's a channel for me to communicate. But the AI is increasingly designed as an active, communicative subject and a lifelike communication partner. Remember the agents. So as I am speaking and recording this session for you on a video platform, it is just a channel. But AI is changing this, reshaping this communication, saying, okay, Richard, you go away. Others can just use this tool to make this presentation, create this content for you. So it's primarily, so it's becoming, like it's an, instead of a communication subject or tool, it has become a communicative subject. And it almost a real communication partner for you now. It does everything for you. It's not no more a channel. So the critical implications of this shift is that the problem is not that the machine is able to think, but it's also able to communicate. And remember this, it's just not able to think, it also able to communicate. And that's the transformative power of this tool, AI tools, particularly the generatives and the next, the agents that will come through you. So this paradigm shift within the emerging field of human and machine communications primarily focuses on creation of meaning among humans and machines. Why I'm talking about more and more? Shouldn't I just list out what to do with AI? Because we need to understand its chemistry, its capability, and what it can do. Then only we can actually apply the AI tools in our communication and research, and more so particularly on the environmental research, environmental communications, environmental scientific explorations, because we need to know that it's creating this new meaning among humans and machines interactions. And that has to be kept it in mind before deploying these things. And this has led to new conceptualizations of AI's communicative role. Just look at it. Few examples I can give. You must have heard about this often repeated terms like automated media, communicative robots, journalistic AI, that's I am directly linked to and has been using or might be thinking of deploying it, and communicative AI also. Similarly, AI assisted research is also there. Now the next comes in this context when you have a new technology, you need to communicate more, we need to do research more in the contemporary time, how you actually integrate this AI into environmental research and communications. And that's what we are going to. Coming back to a bit of few personal experiences before we go to, because this transition makes it, as I told you, I research and report and write, not only just the journalistic, work like writing down one story or this, I involve in deep research also. I research impact of climate change on at the most local levels. For example, how warming will impact fisheries. So in my research, any environmental research for that matter, I have to do very vast research on a subject like climate change. And I have to also work at the very local level, looking at people's livelihood, say, for example, how the fisher folks, their economy is doing, whether they sense any change, what the hardship and these things. But in a normal time was to go speak to people, then you come back, you do the research in climate change, then you integrate both of them, or you speak to scientists to make that connections. I had a recent experience. I'm yet to use these tools very actively as a habit, but I did an experiment. I used some AI tools and I get the prompts search for me the impact of global warming and impacts on fisher folks in Indian villages. What I got a long list of citations, which I would have done going to the Google, searching it, applying my checks and balances to look at which organization's research is this, who has done what, and all this. But while doing this, what I got is a long list of citations. Within minutes, I got to know who is working where, who is working on what. And then I again went back and looked each of them, which usually I would have taken more of a few days. I did it in few minutes. I was happy with it. The same way, I was happy when the search engines came into our life, like Google. Now coming back to it, how to integrate now this AI into the environmental research and communication. See, first, research on AI in environmental and science communication is still nascent. We have certain, hesitancy. We have some, I think we are not that, as I told you, it's still not a practice, but definitely it's growing and predominantly concentrated in the Western context, like the most of the what we are getting is from the Western countries, their research, their institutions, and all these things are. And it is still methodologically inclined towards quantitative approaches, or in plain language, most to apply these tools within the research things to actually large scale data or information processing. So that's where that the first one it's happening. And that's exactly how actually it's unfolding also. That's where we are. So that's why this experience, as I told you, it's very nascent. It's in its infancy still. Lessons from our practices are telling us what to do and how to do. So first thing, when you talk about AI and its integration or its deployment in environmental research and communications, academic writing, it's not only essential and very fundamental component of research. And it goes through, that structured expression of ideas, data-driven arguments, or you can say keep evidence-based writings, and also reasoning. That's typical academic writing that we do. It involves, these are the three basic things. It's basically expression of ideas, then you get data to back your arguments and logical reasoning. And ultimately you give a basically logic to your reasons. This involves the, what you can say, the challenge of handling vast amounts of information and complex ideas. As I told you just in the beginning, for every story what we go through and for my own research and all these things, how much, or how much time and efforts and everything to do even the prelim data of knowing people who are working on it. As I just mentioned, the list of citations on impact of global warming on fishery in Indian villages. It takes time. So that's basically where this integrations or the deployment comes in. So the first thing, the integration of artificial intelligence into academic writing has just become important. And it's increasingly becoming, gaining that importance also. It offers solutions to these challenges of, like how to actually break even the fast things. So in our day-to life and in practice of who are into environmental research, scientific research, this is where the first application of artificial intelligence comes into being. And this is where actually artificial intelligence significantly supports our research and writing. So basically to say that, use this, what do you call, I'm looking for an expressions, you can call it, do my pre-research works. As I mentioned, you have got this list of citations before doing research. I need to know within that academic. So that's a fast integrations of this technology, which has the capability. And also to some extent now it's gaining credibility also of doing that, particularly in this. As generative AI rapidly evolves and reshapes academic work, second things that we need to, the scholars, the researchers, the communicators, we need to understand the tools first, their applications, and the ethical responsibilities also that come with that, using them in both our things. And that's why, in this information dense area, and then in this, when there is a deluge of informations as well as misinformations, then the credibility of sources of informations we need to understand. And that's why the first step we need to take is that we need to understand where it can actually apply, or you can integrate AI into it. First, AI helps definitely academic writing and research in first. It facilitates idea generation and research design. And that has been the examples. And there have been of late many studies that look at how people are actually using or deploying AI into their research and communications. And most of the studies dominantly say that it actually facilitates idea generation and research design. Idea generation is as simple as, suppose if you are researching, you want to research on some things, but you want to get a sense that what should I research? Many people might be researching. I might be an expert in a domain, but I don't know which part of this or which corner of this domain that I need to look at, which others might not have seen. So generating idea, this can help you. All these tools you apply basically, and it doesn't tell you as an expert. It basically processes things and tell you, okay, this many people have been doing this many people might not be doing it. And this basically how the first done. It also does help in research design. How? To design anything, you need those fundamental things, what to actually research first, which can idea generation can help. And also it can help you in the various tools, and you learn how to use all these tools in the next sessions and all these things. But research design is where it's being employed and being practiced now. To know if I have decided on some things, then I need to know how I should design this research objective. So this can be applied. The second, which is more of again the language and also the, how do this structure or anything, it helps in improving content definitely and structuring. This is where actually AI can be integrated. On face, it looks like mostly of, the job of an editor. But remember, as I told you, academic writing, remember, it also involves reasoning. So improving the content, actually, the AI is being can be applied with various prompts, various specially designed training, various AI tools available now. I am not naming all of them, but we know all these things. It can be used in improving the content of the first part of your research. Similarly, it can structure you, logical reasoning. In a communication, structure is key. What should I write first, second, third, fourth, fifth paragraph? It must flow in a structured way. We have seen that artificial intelligence tools, AI tools, are increasingly being used, and you can apply that for structuring your large or long-term research and can get you. It can give you a simple things like introductions, the reasoning one, reasoning two, reasoning three, conclusions, and all these things. Even it will give you the referencing also. It can be applied that way. So that one. Then the third one, and that I mentioned about in the beginning also, it supports literature review and synthesis. So many people are researching on so many things. You have picked up one topic to research, but you need to know what's there. So this that classic fundamental literature review can be done. AI is fantastic. It does a really good job. That has been our experience also. You apply to do your literature review on that particular things. Do that. And that's usually basically normally takes lots of time, lots of here and there, but this can do that for you within minutes. As well as it can synthesize all the materials really well. Next one, the fourth one that where we can integrate is enhancing data management and analysis that we already know. Primarily, it's being now quantitatively used. Huge data you come across. You deploy the right AI tool to get that. And it can also do an analysis for you. But that again, remember, here we are talking about the human intervention is completely there. It behaves as you prompt. But this is where again it's being used and it's giving you that required results. Now, next one. And usually, we are researchers, we are communicators, but not always, good at language. That's not a skill that we might not have always. AI tools are really good in editing, reviewing, and publishing. So that's another very simple integration of AI into our world of research and communications. Then, as you know, AI already does, and most of us all these AI tools, they assist in communications, outreach, ethical compliance, and many things. This is already being done. So these are the primarily things. So saying this and remembering the phase after Google, which actually helped how we actually search materials for research and communications. GenAI or the generative AI is commonly used by researchers and educators now in scholarly works. It's already being used widely. In fact, from university to classrooms to everywhere, we see that the policy is being formulated on how to use AI. And mostly what we do think is that they are using basically inside classrooms to inside research institutions, basically do the fundamental, what you call the pre-final research, as I mentioned, all the things. And now coming to the what AI means in terms of communications. I listed you how it can be integrated in our research, in writing. Now, what about communications? We all know, I think every moment we face now AI generated content which communicates with us, whether on social media platforms, whether on video platforms, or anywhere. In fact, if you are browsing any sites or anything, chances are very high that most of the communication is being done by AI enabled tools. Even you might not feel it. So, coming to the integration of AI into communications, we need to remember and understand this technology. AI is both an object and agent of environmental communications or science communications. For example, I use my own data that I generate during my research into visuals using AI tools, which earlier might be a very specialized person was needed to do or to visualize data. Now I have tools that I apply to do that for me, and that also very effectively and quickly. So here I mean that I have the data, I have done my research, but I have to communicate in a way that it communicates. It registers people attention. That's the very fundamental of communications. It must attract your attention to begin with. That's being done. So here are a few points. One has to keep it in mind how or while integrating AI into this uh, in terms of communicating research or in communications. So first of all, why I'm talking about, because this you need to remember that where exactly to apply the AI, what do you need to know? It's not that it's just a tool, so I apply it. You must understand what it can do or how we should do this. First, communication about artificial intelligence. We should, the communicator, the scholars, the researchers, analyze artificial intelligence as an object of science, and not subject of science. It's just an object of science communication. Similar to, we do these studies and communications or discourses about, uh, nanotechnology, suppose, biotechnology. So it's an object of science and communication that should be kept in mind. And this brings in clarity of purpose. Why to deploy or can use AI tools? So, second point that we need to keep is that AI related communications usually that we create, it's also, you know, cuts across what do you call domains or the type of communicators. You communicate or you do research on environment, some does on the one particular branch of science. Some non-profit organizations use it for their campaigns. So all of us, whatever you do, to begin with, actually, there must be a policy on how the AI can be integrated or should be deployed. That's why I said that it should be taken the first of all inside the brain. You should keep this decision object of communication. Now, pardon. Second, while evolving this, integrating this, you know, we should also look at when you integrate AI as a communication tool, we should look at how it's being used. Intermediaries of communication, how it's being used by intermediaries of communication, such as a journalist like me, or social media influencer, technology platforms. Look at it, what kind of influence these intermediaries, communicators use. Whatever they, you might be a researcher, you might be a scientist, you have written scientific papers. As a journalist, I communicate that. So look at how basically these intermediaries, communicators are using artificial intelligence into there. And I gave you my example of I basically turn my data, hardcore data, visualize them and tell a story. And as I told you, even to researching my long format story, I actually deploy AI to give me that citations, give me that research papers already done on this, give me a synthesis of the record so that I can go back and refer. And that sets. Third things, we all should also, as communicators, as policy, experts and all these things, analyze the public communications about generative AI in legacy media, social media, public imagery, fictional accounts, so that we know that what are the perils involved in communications of AI, in use of AI in communications. These are basically to tell you that you have the tools already. You have taken a decision to integrate these tools or this technology into your research, but you should know what are the cautions I must be doing. And also at the same time, you must look at people who are effectively using it and what are the issues or the discussions happening around it. So that's there. The fourth one, we should focus on when integrating AI or using the AI for communications, we should focus on consumption. This is basically on the perceptions, use, and effects of AI related communications among citizens, but also among stakeholders, regulators, researchers, and others. Because there is a certain perception is there, and who is consuming what, and in with which perceptions. The fear of false informations, false visuals, AI generated contents do suffer from certain lack of credibility. They might be telling you a story with the visuals, the story is right, but sometimes something happens. It's being misused also. So keep that in mind while integrating AI into your communication tools, because the tools will generate content for you. But remember, you are sitting behind it and prompting it. What do you call? Sometimes they do hallucinate. Sometimes they don't understand you. So keep this in mind. Very preliminary tip to do that. And now come to the question of, pardon, uh, how to communicate with AI. Now, this is where actually you have used your AI to do research. You are integrating the AI into communications. Now, how you communicate with AI or communication with AI? This we all should analyze that AI is an agent of communication. It's not an independent communicator. It's my agent. And for me, it's an agent of communications. You know, suppose, for example, why we need to keep this in mind, because it's evolving very fast. Today, we are speaking of few tools. I think by tomorrow, morning you will get some few new AI tools having new features and actually gaining more autonomy. So AI differs from other objects of science, communications, what we have been using till now. Because this technology itself has increased agency. It means its independent capacity to think and communicate. As a form of communicative AI, this is the generative AI. It means it's gaining agency. So that's keep that in mind. When I talked about that hallucinations, even sometimes communications going hayward, you need to communicate well with AI tools. That's why you have to be in grip of what you want to communicate. It's actually no more, part of imaginations, but artificial intelligence tools are gaining agency or the power to be independent, to think themselves, even generate on their own thinking. So you need to communicate with the AI itself well. That's basically you need to be in control of what you want to communicate using AI. Keep that in mind always. And how people interact with AI, evaluate it, how the technology responds and adapts, and what the results of these interactions are on both sides are some of the most interesting research questions of near futures. That's happening. I cannot actually say that these are the tools available now, you just don't deploy that. Every tool that you have used yesterday might have gone overall today. It's evolving. So while deploying this, you need to actually have a communications with the AI itself. How intelligent it is without me. So please keep that in mind. And it's so fast evolving that I am not able to say that even tomorrow what will happen. Now, the third point, and the problem, the last one, is this integration of the agentic technology to research and communication. In the beginning, I told you this agents, AI agents are the next stage. And within that, we are getting this agentic technology, which is means having this AI technology, which basically agents having their own power, capability, even human-like thinking capacity. That's being now deployed. So how do and where and how it should actually deploy to research and communications? What we know till now, we see that AI at this level of advancement, it can, the roles of fasten and foster research is very clear, though it's not taking out the intelligence team now. And but it's still being, there is an increasing, and I again repeating it, saying that the technology is evolving so fast that for sure I cannot say what will happen in the next hour. Your all AI agents are actually becoming nearly real intelligent people. So, but there are few points where this generative AI and particularly the AI agents or agentic AI also, the agents who have some intelligence of their own, where it can be used. Use various AI tools to quick synthesize large sets of data and informations. That's where we have actually confidence on this use of technology, of this technology. Any data, big data. For example, I'll give you an example. I wanted to know from Indian census data, and you know India is such a big man, one of the most populated countries, the most populated countries. It census data to look at certain things, like how many houses, concrete houses, and how many mud houses. I would have taken a month to go through it, all the data. By applying this tool, I got it in minutes. So this is the fast use where we have some credibility of this technology or tool being used. Second, use various AI tools to process data according to desired mode. Processing data. For examples, I got the immediately data how many mud houses, how many concrete houses in India. Some billions plus points. But how to process this data according to my desired mode? I wanted to know where exactly more concrete houses, where exactly more mud houses. And my AI tool gave me that in few minutes. So it should be used that way to process data according to desired mode. And remember, it's not taking away your you or the real intelligence. AI tools actually survive or help you what you call the prompts. By this time, you all know. And prompts are where still the human intelligence is being deployed. And your artificial intelligence tools are being managed through the prompts. So that's it. Now the next one where AI can help is basically shaping short communication pitches. You can say that the summary, very short summary, a very short summary of a large, say there is a report, say for example, a report on um, state of indigenous people in the world. I just need a quick communication pitch. It's 500 pages worth of that report. It will immediately, I think, it's where the AI tools is actually now turning out to be credible, near perfect and correct. So it helps in short communication pitches, and that helps for your communication also. Our own research, big research works can be actually converted into short communication pitches for communications. Next one is AI can translate into multi languages. Again, it does take human interventions and oversight, but I know one language, but there are 20 languages I want to communicate. That's where AI can help you out. And as it develops, we see that the translation version is turning out to be, there are mistakes always. There are language issues, but it still gives you out, particularly in this small communication pitches, not in this long form translation. And I have already told the AI is really good in editing and language correction. That's where its credibility is really very high, can be used, deployed. And second, the visuals, particularly data visualizations, story visualizations itself, or the research points visualizations. The AI can be fantastically used. So to sum it up, is that it's a definitely transformative tool. It has potentials, and without completely outsourcing our intelligence, the artificial intelligence tools can be really very useful, and particularly for steering, for in large scale reporting and research, and also to processing data. This is very much a powerful technology to deploy. Hope I made sense and made points. I'll be glad to take any queries. You can send it to the course coordinator. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.